Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. And today we have Genius MLK/X. This is not a documentary that I thought it was. It's from National Geographic, so you can understand why I would think it would be a documentary about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. No, it's not the case. It is actually a biographical drama featuring the two of these, showing their work with the civil rights movement, culminating, well, actually not culminating, but it seems like this is the time that the civil rights movement culminated. And then we were just like, racism solved. And then we just went, it doesn't exist anymore, despite all the horrible things still happening today with certain horrible people. You know who you are. So, in this, though, I have to admit this is my second attempt to do this because I learned a lot about what this show is, why it's structured the way it is. It's season 4, by the way. Yeah. Why is it season 4 and only season 4? Well, it just sounded dumb that I just couldn't figure it out, and I spent way too much time talking about it on my last version. So I redid it, and yes, I've already did this random search thing, and I already know what tomorrow's episode is. But this is, like I said, a biography about these two gentlemen, the history of their lives, and it's the 4th season because Genius is the overall name of the series. This 4th season just happens to focus on Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr., whereas previous seasons dealt with people like Pablo Picasso, played by Antonio Banderas, and who knows who many. There's a bunch in here. I don't know. There's a bunch, and it was confusing trying to look at IMDb and trying to figure out if are they gonna cross over, or like these is Martin Luther King Jr. gonna sit down to dinner with I don't know, Aretha Franklin? Well, no, maybe actually she might show up. Probably. I don't know, but I mean, or was previous seasons, were they just about Pablo Picasso or Aretha Franklin? I don't know. I didn't check them, but this season is all that matters because it was put on more than likely in 2024 February during Black Pride Month, and that's the reason why you would see it. It's a 2017 show, but it's listed as 2024 here. It's 8 episodes. Each of them are about 45-ish minutes. They're like like 56, sorry, 50, 52, 56. It's almost an hour long for each episode, and all 8 of them do tell everything. It starts with their first meeting, and I learned a lot about these things because you kind of assume that they were contemporaries for the entire length of their famous and infamous histories. In fact, the very first scene sort of builds up to their heading to the nation's capital to fight for the Civil Rights Amendment to be enacted. And despite the number of segregationists in the Senate at the time in 1964, including Thurgood Marshall, who only until just a few years ago was still there. Yes, he championed segregation like a maniac. He needed to keep whites over here, and everybody else is not white over there, especially the blacks. So, equality, justice, all these things wrapped up in their missions. But of course, they had 2 different tactics to take it. And one was a Christian, one was a Muslim. And one was through integration and peace and having a dream. The other one was a little bit more hardline. And you get to see, after they first shake hands in 1964, where they first meet, they'd suddenly jump back more than 60 years to 1931. And we get to see their stories in parallel, their family lives, them as children, where they got a lot of their ideas, and how their family figured into their development, the choices they made, and the people they became. And it's 2 very different paths. Both lost people who were important to them at a young age, and some took them a little bit harder than most. Well, it's kind of hard not to take the loss of a family member at a young age. Malcolm, who had lost his father to the Klan, who attempted to burn down their house with the mom and dad and 7 children inside of it, or at least 7 children. At least his dad got around, as they found out at the funeral. But he it galvanized Malcolm from a very young age. And his faith didn't even come into play. His Islamic faith did not come into play until he was in prison. So for crimes he was committing around in his young life, usually hustling people, something he learned from his half-sister. And I know I'm just giving away a lot here, but it is also history. So, yeah. I mean, there's certain details, like he just, I didn't know any of this. I didn't really ever do any deep research in either one of them. And no, I did not see the Denzel Washington film Malcolm X. I did not see that either. You see stuff normally whenever you see movies or TV shows about certain iconic real life figures, the biographies tend to get cleaned up a little bit. You only see the best, the most historic moments, the biggest speeches and things like that. Those things kind of get pushed to the front, and the more sundry things get pushed to the back and sort of skipped over for time sometimes. This seems to be handling, while it does move at a pretty quick pace, even just for the first episode, which is the only one I watched. It kind of hits the high points, and I know some people who are, obsessive about the detail about these men's lives will go, well, they didn't show that, or they didn't really, really build on certain aspects of their lives or their family members, and it kind of pressed for time. You got 8 episodes, and they're 8 hours, almost 8 hours long. But you kind of have to pick and choose, especially with the amount of things that have gone on with 2 major people in our history, in our American history, and worldwide history. But they're American icons, so American geniuses. So, like when I was going back to the point where their young lives were affected by the loss of certain people, when Martin Luther King's grandmother died, something he blamed himself for because he decided to go to the carnival instead of helping her out at her women's dinner. He tried to kill himself, and it's not a pretty moment. There is a warning at the end of the film, at the end of the episode, to say, hey, if you know anybody or you yourself are feeling any desires to harm yourself, please, call a number, contact somebody, please do that. If you have any suicidal ideation in your life, you or someone else, it's nothing's worth taking your own life for. But for the most part, yes, this is very much a drama, and you get to see some of the big turning points in these men's lives running in parallel, sometimes jumping ahead by 7 years, then 10 years, and we're into the 40s by the end of this first episode. And of course, we're going to build all the way up to the 1960s and possibly even further past that point to the time when both men were lost. So it has little flashes of humor here and there, but for the most part, when you're dealing with racism and hate and just people trying to be treated as if they were human, which seems like a low bar to get over, let's treat all men, all women, all people, regardless of the color of the skin, as equals. Or not judge people based on the color of their skin. Maybe you might have a judgment for somebody who is crappy regardless of the color of their skin, or great because regardless of the color of their skin. Then that's great. Or their origin or their religion or things like that. Yeah. Check out the individual as compared to, hey, dark skin, so they're obviously not human. Let's not get into that. So, unfortunately, because this is so full of actors from all 4 seasons, many of which are not involved in this. I believe Kevin Harrison Jr. played Martin Luther King Jr. And where is he? Come on, I know you're here towards the beginning. Aaron Pierre plays Malcolm X. Both of them do a tremendous job of just showing the voices of these men. If you've seen enough film of them in history and school, you know how Martin Luther King Jr. gives his "I Have a Dream" speech. You know how hard-edged Malcolm X can be. So these guys do a tremendous job of personifying it. This has a really good budget. Like this, again, this is the 4th season, so it seems like they have a really solid production value on this. It looks fantastic. It sounds fantastic. Acting is fantastic. Again, his story nuts are gonna want so much more, maybe a whole lot more detail, but maybe with more episodes, it might flesh itself out even more. I don't know. We'll find out, because I already have added it. My first attempt, I went back to this and I have added this to my watch list, which I have 1,000 things on that, it seems, and I will hopefully get around to some of them someday. Only 7 more episodes, 7 more hours of this, and I might learn a little bit more than I knew before. So I highly recommend it. If you're a history buff, if you are someone who cares about civil rights and equality and racism, and ending it, which we keep trying, but apparently there's a lot of people who are willing to hold on to their hate. They're just stupid hate for whatever reason. So what I did was at the end of the last episode, I picked a random number, and it was number 113. So 113 comes up to Les Pupilles. And also the other reason why I chose to redo this video is because I got everything wrong about my description, what I assumed Les Pupilles was. It is not French. I think it's Italian, and it is not animated. It's live action. So, and it's also technically a Christmas film, and I'll be talking to you about that tomorrow. So definitely watch this. I kind of wish there was more, all the seasons, but you're gonna start, when it comes to these guys, it's told in 8 episodes on the 4th season. What are you gonna do? Look up National Geographic Channel or whatever they do. They might have all the other seasons as well. So if you're interested in Albert Einstein or Pablo Picasso, you might find that. So I get to wear the hat tomorrow. So Les Pupilles is what we're watching tomorrow on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.